She's gone, is it, Casey? I don't know where she ran off to, but she looked upset. She just said something about friends in trouble, then left. By the time I could disconnect from the octopus, she was on her way out of town. Ah, crap. Didn't we say that she should tell us? She must have gone back to the sinking ship. I don't like the sound of that. She'd tell you what went down there all those years ago. The mutiny, yeah, and she's been having bad dreams about the place ever since. She turns her back and begins grabbing her gear. Well, we better go and get her, hadn't we? Well, let's do it. I'm going to arrange transport out to Hong Ham Bay. You come meet me at the docks when you're ready. Alright, we have another mission! So eventually we're gonna help all of our teammates, right? So we helped Isabel get her memories back, although I'm not sure that qualifies as helping. We have helped Racter upgrade his drone. We have helped Guy Chu deal with his past. We haven't done anything for Duncan, and I we probably aren't going to because he's like one of the main characters. And now we have to help Goblet with her with the sinking ship. How are these guys doing? What you doing, Racter? Racter's shop is alive with motion. War-mounted tools hammer and spark, each according to its own rhythm. The cacophony reverberates in the metal confines of the converted engine room, attacking your ears as the light of acetylene torches stab your eyes. My friend, you've come back. I mean, I live here. Racter turns towards you, his boots are off, and you can see the metallic gleam of his feet. Freed from the confine of his boots, the appendages have unfolded. Clawed, gripping toes splay out in all directions, at least 8 to a foot. They look alien and predatory, like the talons of some great carnivorous bird. He's been modding his own legs! Really? 8 claws per foot. Racter, what are you using those feet for? I wasn't convinced that you want to continue our little chats after the last time. No? No, we good. From under his desk, a glint of light catches your eye, Cosjay. I'm glad that I was wrong. Are you kidding? I wouldn't miss our talks for the world. I mean, I'm into transhumanism, to be honest. Like, technology's not there yet, so it probably won't be there within my lifetime. But I'm into the idea of transhumanism. Are you kidding? I wouldn't miss our talks for the world. I'm pleased to hear you say so. I rather enjoy them myself. He turns, the sound of metal on metal filling your ears. So what should we talk about? Yeah, let's talk about his feet. Hey Racter, what's up with your feet? I mean, obviously he's been upgrading his feet. The replacements that I was fitted with all those many years ago. Wait, you didn't do that? Those were the original? The many talon-like toes that splay out from his feet claw at the ground, scraping against the metal flooring. They have been modified somewhat between then and now, as you can see, improved. Oh no, he did improve them. They have been modified somewhat between then and now, as you can see, improved. So, the thing is, human feet are actually not very good. Humans evolved from monkeys, right, from apes. So at some point in our past, you know, like monkeys, their feet are like their hands and they can use their feet to hold on to branches. So we still have like toes, for example. But we came out of the trees and then we went into the plains in Africa and then we started running. But our feet aren't really fully adapted to running. Like the evolution from tree climbing to running. So our feet are actually less less robust than a lot of other animals. If you look at like birds' feet, especially like ostriches and emus, like big birds, their feet are like really stable and really tough. And it's very difficult to injure them. Whereas humans like we sprain our legs and we sprain our feet very easily. Like it's very easy to like roll your ankles and just sprain them. Whereas like those big birds, they can't do it. They can't really sprain their legs. Like it's very difficult for them to hurt themselves just by like stepping wrong. So human feet are actually like even like compared to like horses, goats, sheep, deer, like all of these other like animals, their feet are really like well adapted to running. Like the hooved animals. Of course, like the hooved animals, they're never gonna grab a tree branch with their hooves because they're hooves. Whereas, you know, our feet, we still have toes, and we can like kind of grab things with our toes. So human feet are like kind of halfway between tree climbing and ground walking. And they're not well adapted to either role. It's just that like our evolution has reached this particular stage at this point in time, right? And like actually our feet are not very good. Like human feet and human legs are not that good compared to other animals that have been like walking on the ground for millions of years longer than humans have. Um, so regarding that, like if we're talking about transhumanism and feet, yeah, no, it like if you have mechanical legs, you might as well redesign them to be more like ostrich legs or something because that's gonna serve you a lot better than human legs. Because human legs are just not well adapted. And they're not bad, but they're not very good. They're not as good as some other animals. What animals did you base your redesign on? The claws were inspired by the harpy eagle, quite a majestic creature, a hunter of primates, you know, he smiles. The quality was driven by artistic license, impractical perhaps, but they please me all the same. That's strange. That doesn't make any sense. They're impractical, Racter. They're impractical. So harpy eagle's claws, they're not, I mean, eagles don't really walk. I mean, they can walk, but they mostly fly, right? So their claws can perch on branches, and they can grab prey. So they're designed to grab other animals and also to perch on branches, not to walk on the ground. So having harpy feet, or having like harpy eagle feet, doesn't fit humans. Like I said, you're better off having ostrich legs. Because ostriches like they run a lot. Like they run a lot. And their legs are really well adapted to this running long distances. So this is silly. I like this is uncharacteristic for Racter. For like Racter being such an engineer and being like a transhuman, because he talked about giving humans greater capabilities. He didn't talk about allowing people to be artistic with their bodies before. This is kind of strange. Like it's not functional. I don't understand why. I mean they are functional in the sense that if you want to grab people with your feet and claw them to death. So it's not just artistic. It's impractical in the sense that if you want to like claw someone's throat out with your feet, they'd be practical. But yeah, no, that's not how humans work. Like we walk on our feet. We don't fight with our feet as much. Any thoughts about the last run? I must commend our ghoulish friend for his planning and in organizing this run. We solved the problem for him, diverted the attention away from ourselves, and got paid in the process. Not bad at all. Indeed. What's more, this activity gave me the opportunity to test Kaichu's combat effectiveness against one of the premier paramilitary organizations in the Sixth World today. The Red Samurai are no slouches when it comes to warfare, as you well know. Such a proud moment, watching my little creation hold its own against them. I must confess, when the last of our enemies fell, my heart felt fit to burst. A great victory, my friend, a great victory all round. Yeah, your bot did pretty good. Now, what else would you have of me? I see the shop that is up and running again. What are you working on now? More options for Cosjay as always. He is still far from perfect, but every iteration inches him closer. There's no such thing as perfect, Cosjay. Racter. So perfection... What is perfection? If, let's say like... I mean, what's a drone? Let's say the drone... It's a kill... It's a, like a... It's a murder bot, right? So let's say perfection is a drone that is perfectly optimized killing machine. But here's the problem. Different situations and different environments require different adaptations, right? So let's say you want to kill someone in the middle of a city, or you want to kill someone in a jungle, or you want to kill someone in a desert, or you want to kill someone in the Arctic, or you want to kill someone in the ocean, right? Like even if you have one specific job for your bot, which is to kill people, against different targets in different places, right, in different environments, you would want a different body each time in order to do the job well. So there's no one perfect form because there's no single environment that you're working in. And if you're like a jack of all trades, then you're not. Then a different bot that is optimized for an environment would outperform you in that environment. So the idea of perfection is a bit of a fallacy because like there's so many different situations, and every different situation requires a different response. In fact, there are infinite different possible situations, and so there's no such thing as one perfect thing that fits everything. There might be one perfect answer for one specific situation, but there's no universally perfect form. Anyway, I have questions for you about something that you mentioned last time. The corner of his mouth lifts into a wry smile. Yes, I imagine you do. Go on then, ask away. So in your ideal future, people without empathy, morality, or humanity will replace the rest of us. That sounds about right. No. If what you believe is true, if people with your condition will inherit the earth, how long do you think that can last? Forever. You said that you were diagnosed as a psychopath when you were 8. What led to that diagnosis? Let's start with that one. Because the only way you can really get diagnosed as a psychopath is if you hurt someone else really bad. You hurt multiple other people. Because if you hurt someone else really bad once, that's still not enough for people to think you're a psychopath. You have to demonstrate a persistent pattern of hurting other people in really callous ways in order to be diagnosed as a psychopath. So before the age of 8, you would have to have like killed or seriously maimed multiple people and have had like multiple diagnoses. Like you had like you need like a psychiatrist. You have to have several psychiatrists look at you in detail after you have killed or maimed multiple people. And then maybe you would get diagnosed as a psychopath. And to accomplish all that at the age of 8 is remarkable. Let's see what the game says about this. My mother had me tested. She'd always kept a watchful eye on me, obsessively so, truth be told. It was a rather poor way to experience childhood. Why was she watching you? What did you do? She shouldn't have kept you under observation like that. You were just a kid. What are you talking about? You have to watch your kids. What are you gonna do? Just let your kids run around unattended? Why was she watching you? What did you do? Very little. She blew my childhood behaviors out of proportion, I'm afraid. The woman always had been motivated by fear. She sighs. She had her reasons, I suppose. Define very little for me. A neighbor had a pet rooster. It would crow at strange hours and wake me up. It woke everybody up. We all hated that rooster. He shrugs. So one day I cut its throat with a hobby knife. Okay, that is one sign of psychopathy. Like, and the sign is that you kill an animal without hesitation, without feeling anything bad for it. But that's not the. Like, there are other ways for people to kill animals that are not necessarily psychopathy, right? There are other motivations for people to kill animals that are not necessarily psychopathy. Um, your mother sent you to a shrink for killing a bird. That seems like an overreaction to me. No. Did this bird have a name? Chanticleer. I suppose that my neighbor thought himself very clever. He was a self-congratulatory fool, and his bird was a pest, so I gave it the send-off that it deserved. Yeah, but... was it worth it, Racter? Because there are consequences for killing other people's birds. You killed a neighbor's pet, that isn't very little. In a puritanical mood are we? So tiresome. I eliminated a public nuisance. You steal and kill for money. The next time you feel like moralizing, focus on your own ethical deficiencies. I kill and murder in a way that people can't catch me, Racter. You killed the bird, and then you got caught, and then you got diagnosed. As I was saying, my mother walked in on me as I was studying the body. One look and I could see it in her eyes, grim certainty, and a sense of righteous justification for a lifetime of suspicion. She hauled me before a psychiatrist the next day. Yeah, but... so, in reality, what would happen at this point is that the psychiatrist should identify that young Racter is at risk of becoming a psychopath. And then they would give him therapy, give the mother therapy, teach the mother how to raise the young Racter so that he avoids becoming worse. And the way to avoid a little at-risk young boy or young child from becoming worse is you have to be careful not to let them experience violence. Don't let them get bullied, right? Don't let them get abused. Try not to let them suffer deprivation. Keep them away from bad influences. And be very clear about the consequences of their choices. And be consistent about the consequences of their actions. And basically just raise them well. Basically just raise the little kid well. Don't hit them, don't yell at them. But make sure that you reward good behavior, don't reward bad behavior. But you wouldn't get diagnosed as a psychopath at the age of 8. So after you're diagnosed, what happened? He shrugs. I learned what was expected of me. The doctor was very helpful in that regard. He offered false hope and placebos, and false promises that he could cure me if my family met his price. Oh. Okay, well. And to me, he offered an escape. All that I had to do was to play along, and my problems would be solved. Oh well, that's I mean, that's not the right answer, but I mean, I guess he made money. It wasn't difficult to pretend that I had been cured. Once I understood the outward signs that my mother was looking for, I was able to ape them well enough. In time, my mother came around. So you lied then. You pretended to be cured when you weren't. I mean, there's no cure, by the way. There's no cure for psychopathy. You can convince a psychopath not to hurt other people and not to, like, destroy things. You don't cure them, you just convince them not to be harmful. So you lied then. You pretended to be cured when you weren't. I put on a mask, both for my own benefit and the benefit of my family. I knew what would happen if I didn't. I had been caught, and my mother's scrutiny would only increase if I didn't convince her that I was better. My grandfather lived out his final days in Black Dolphin Prison. Do you know the place? I've heard stories. It's a storied place, one of the most appalling detainment facilities in Russia, and that is saying quite a lot. I was determined not to follow in the old man's footsteps. I am not an animal to be caged. Well, the first step to not keep following in his footsteps is to not kill animals. Racter bends down and runs his finger over Koschei's chassis. The drone stands motionless. The lenses of its many optical sensors focus on you. In any case, there you have it. I'm glossing over many of the details, of course, but I'd rather not discuss my childhood any further. Instead, let us think to the future and to the promise that it holds. Yeah, this story. It's complicated, right? Psychopathy is complicated. I mean, this story is doing a fairly good job. I wish it was doing better, but that's a very high standard to hold it against. So in your ideal future, people without empathy, morality, or humanity will replace the rest of us. Sound about right? No, that's not about right. It's not that psychopaths have no empathy, morality, or humanity. Psychopaths understand all those things. They just don't feel as strongly about it as you do. It's not that they don't have it. They just don't feel strongly about it. They understand it. What do you believe? If what you believe is true, if people with your condition will inherit the Earth, how long do you think that can last? Indefinitely. What makes you ask? Oh, I mean, I understand this. So, because psychopaths, especially the bad ones, the ones that you hear stories about, like murderers, like you say, predators, like murderers and thieves and all that, like, you might assume that if they're such bad people that you can't have a world full of psychopaths, but actually that's not true. The problem, in my opinion, in my experience, in the way I think about it, the problems only arises because there's psychopaths and non-psychopaths. And the way non-psychopaths see the world is not compatible with the way non-psychopaths see the world. And that incompatibility causes conflict. If everybody was a psychopath, they would have a different order, a different, like, understanding, and there wouldn't be problems. Like, if there were no psychopaths, there wouldn't be problems. If they were all psychopaths, there wouldn't be problems. It's only when there are psychopaths and non-psychopaths in the same space, then there's a problem. So actually, if the whole world was psychopaths, I think it'll be fine. It'll be different. And like, you might find it quite unpleasant. But actually it'll be fine, because they'll know how to get along with each other. Psychopaths are born predators. Ever heard of a natural ecosystem that's made up of nothing but predators? But they're not born predators. Like, even a predator, so about predators. Predators only kill when they're hungry. You know, some people keep tigers as pets? Do you know how to keep a tiger as a pet? You keep it very well fed, right? You make sure you feed it every day. You make sure it never goes hungry. You only feed it slabs of meat. You never feed it a live animal. And if you do that, you can keep a tiger as a pet. And the tiger would be no more dangerous to you than a normal house cat. If you let it go hungry, though, if it gets hungry, it'll eat you. If you don't let it go hungry, then it's a perfectly fine pet. So, and the tiger is obviously a ferocious predator when it's hungry. Same thing with psychopaths, actually. If a psychopath is comfortable, well-fed, they're not a problem. It's only when there's something they need that they don't have and that they can get off of you, then you're in trouble. Right? So if you keep the tiger well fed, they're perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with them. So yeah, like, and also there's no, it wouldn't be a natural ecosystem. I've dealt with people like you and the Barons all the time. More often than not, they killed each other off. I don't think so. I don't think they kill each other off. They kill you guys. Like, they kill everyone else. Uh, anyway, I'm gonna say this. I dealt with people like you and the Barons all the time. More often than not, they killed each other off. I don't think this is true, but I want to say this just to see how he responds. You're suggesting that we'll burn ourselves out, annihilate ourselves. I will concede that this is possible, but I think it unlikely. This is the sixth world after all. Even if metahumanity is supplanted by posthumanity, there will be other forces at work in the world. We will not be alone. You're talking about the supernatural, dragons, spirits, that kind of thing. You probably share the world with the machine intelligences. We're on the cusp of it already. You're talking about the supernatural, dragon spirits, that kind of thing. Yes, any form of intelligence that cannot or will not make the leap that we will make. Dragons and spirits would qualify, so would any metahuman holdovers that cling to their natural bodies. Artificial intelligences could also prove problematic. And what would they be to you? Competition? Prey? That remains to be seen, but they would give my people something to rally against. The corner of his mouth tilts upwards. The smile contains no warmth. I, for one, am looking forward to seeing how it all plays out, aren't you? Yeah, no, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Because you don't need other beings, you don't need other intelligences to rally yourself against. Because, like, nature, just like blind, unthinking nature is difficult enough. Like, merely surviving is actually quite difficult. You don't need like a conscious enemy like dragons to rally against. Like, environmental degradation is gonna destroy us if we don't do something about it. Or like, you know, if we wait long enough, our planet is gonna get hit by another comet or asteroid, and that's gonna wipe people out, so we need to like develop defenses against those. And like, you know, there's all of space out there. Like, if we have the resources, we should invest our resources expanding into space and expanding our capabilities. So even stuff like that, there's plenty of stuff to do, and all that stuff requires cooperation. Like, because no one person is gonna do any of that on their own. So you don't need dragons and spirits as enemies to convince people to rally together. There are a whole lot of other things that people need to rally together in order to solve. And if we don't solve them, then we're all gonna die. Right, so it's this is a bit silly. So where do we go from here? Forward, my friend, always forward. Alright. Silently, Koschei studies you, its articulated pedipalps weaving hypnotically. You will join me, won't you? The future beckons the both of us equally. Follow me, and I'll guide you to a better tomorrow. I can think of nothing that would please me more. If and when your future comes to pass, I'll be there with you to see it. We'll agree to disagree about your perfect future. For the present, though, you have my support. You're sick, Racter, you need help. He's not sick. He just has an idea. We'll see, Racter. There's a lot of things. We'll agree to disagree about your perfect future. I don't disagree with him. I mean, I'm not... A lot of things... Well, I do actually. I do disagree with some things about him. If and when your future comes to pass, I'll be there with you to see it. I mean, who knows, right? Who knows what's gonna happen in the future? Right, if and when your future comes to pass, I'll be there with you to see it. Very good. Good, very good, I'm pleased. But in the immediate future, there is the small matter of the walled city to contend with. I will, of course, continue to help you as best I can. I need allies as badly as you do, and it is in my best interest to keep them alive. See, he gets it. Like, he does understand. You see what he says? Like, he needs allies, and so he's willing to play along. He's not here to just kill and murder and steal from everyone. Like, he understands that in order to get things done, you do need allies. And therefore he's gonna be as sociable as he needs to be to get things done. It's in my best interest to keep you alive too. You're the most interesting person on this boat. I wouldn't say that. The others are plenty interesting too. I mean, it is in my best interest to keep you alive too. I just don't want to say the second half of that. Alright, good, let's keep it that way. You have nothing to fear, my friend. I am your friend, you can trust me. Trust. Trust nothing. You don't... If you know, you don't have to trust. Have you thought about that? What is trust? Trust is when you're not sure about something, you put your faith in something because you don't know, right? Like, if there's a box and you ask me what's in the box, I tell you there's an apple in the box. You have to trust me because you don't know what's in the box. You only have my word for it. But if you look in the box and you see an apple in the box, then you know that you don't need to trust me, right? You only need to trust me if you don't know. So, I don't... If you can know, then don't trust, right? Try always to know, then you don't need to trust. If you don't know, if you can't know, then you have to trust. But, so this is like, I'm your friend, you can trust me. This is not... This is silly, right? We know that Racter can't do everything on his own. We know that he benefits from this arrangement. And therefore, we can expect him to continue to play along and to contribute to the team because he benefits from the team. And we know that, and because we know that in order to keep him on side, all we need to do is to continue to be of benefit to him. As long as we do that, we will know that he will continue to work with us. I'll catch you on our next run, Racter. He nods, smiling. And are you? Goodbye, my friend, and good night. Alright. You should not trust the psychopath. You should know the psychopath. Understand the psychopath. If you understand them, you don't need to trust them.